this computer. The one, let's see, attendees, none yet, so we'll wait. When Christina and I met earlier, she said, oh, and don't forget to go ahead and press the broadcast button. And I said, I don't see broadcast. I only see start webinar. So, oh, wait, look at that. We've got 3 attendees already, though.
Oh, cool. So broadcast button.
Okay, 4. I'll wait about a minute or two until about 10 come in, which is what we're expecting, and then I'll go ahead and give my spiel. Hi, everyone, to our attendees. Hopefully you can hear me. As you come in, you should be able to chat. If you just want to go ahead and put a hello or some kind of greeting so we know that you can hear us okay, that'd be appreciated. And we'll go ahead and get started shortly. Okay, perfect. We've got 6 attendees.
Yeah, one of them's on my team.
Okay.
He's a work-based learning manager. I said, if you can make it, come.
All right, we've got Kanan, Dana, Nicole, Joelle. Thank you for reaching out as well. Let's see what we're looking like. We've still got our 6 attendees. Just so we don't get started too late, thank you to everyone for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and put up a poll. Like I said, Pamela and Joelle, if you could just leave that up. I think if you exit, it'll exit for the rest of us. But greetings, everyone. We just wanted to collect some initial feedback, and I'll also be putting up a poll just in the last few minutes of our presentation as well. I'm going to go ahead and launch now. Hopefully it'll show up for everyone. All right, we've got 3 of 6 have voted, 4 of 6. 5 of 6, thank you all. All right, got everyone thus far. I'm gonna go ahead and take a screenshot of this really quick. All righty, I'll go ahead and end that poll. All righty. Like I said, thank you everyone for joining with us. First of all, welcome to College Week. Today's session is Careers in Advanced Transportation and Logistics. I want to introduce my fellow 2 presenters here today, Pamela and Joelle, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pam Gutman, and I am the Regional Director for Advanced Transportation and Logistics for the community colleges in the Bay Area.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joelle Hansen. I'm the CTE coordinator for the Santa Clara County Office of Ed, and I'm here to help facilitate any questions that the audience may have. So if you're a teacher in the audience and you have a class of kids, please feel free to type in the chat box any questions you may have, and periodically through the presentation, I will stop and ask Pam those questions.
Great. That is it for me, Pam. I want to pass it on over to you. Like I said, I'll be monitoring the chat with Joelle. We are recording. If anyone has a question, please put it in the chat and we'll do our best to answer it.
Can I close the polling?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm going to exit everybody. Great. Perfect. Is that gone for everybody now?
Yes. It was already gone. It should be good.
Okay, good. Great. So hello again, everyone. And Alex, thank you for hosting us today. And thank you very much to the Silicon Valley Educational Foundation for hosting us. And Joelle, thanks for helping out. So what are we going to talk about today? Today, I'd like to talk with you about all of the programs that the community colleges offer in the Bay Area in advanced transportation and logistics. And to put that in context for you, I'm going to show you what the actual, oops, there we go. There we go. So in the Bay Area, in case you didn't realize, there are a lot of community colleges. There's 28 of them, and half of them have an automotive technology program. Of those, 3 also have heavy-duty diesel programs, 4 have auto body and collision programs. And then in aviation, we have 4 FAA certified aviation maintenance technician programs, 7 with drone programs, 3 that are developing drone programs because they're so popular, and we'll talk about that, and 3 with logistics in the Bay Area. So let's start with automotive. So why would someone want to work in the world of automotive? What is it about cars that gets people excited? And I just wonder if some of you have been interested in cars at all, because some of our students, they fall in love with the car. Some of them like the vintage cars, some of them like the futuristic, semi-autonomous and fully autonomous cars. Some love a particular brand or OEM, like an Audi, a Porsche, a Tesla. So there's something about a car that they just find fascinating, and they want to work on them. Also working on cars, there's a different kind of work dynamic, and that also appeals to a lot of our students. So if you like to work in small teams, if you like to figure out what's wrong with something and you want to fix it, if you like to work with your hands, if you like to work with tools, or if you like to work with computers, because as probably most of you already know, the laptop is the new toolbox. Things have been changing enormously over the last 10 years, and most importantly in the last 5 years. And here I have a picture of some of our technicians at the Evergreen Valley Tesla Academy. Tesla is now at Evergreen Valley College, and they're teaching the Tesla START program in advanced electrical. The Tesla, as you know, is one of the more advanced cars on the road, and everybody's talking about autonomous. And for our students, there are lots of opportunities to actually start a career in that autonomous world if that's something of interest. And in Silicon Valley, with so many startups in automotive focusing on autonomous, there are a lot of jobs as well. And some of those jobs have been changing because people have in their mind that an automotive mechanic is the guy with dirty hands working in, you know, kind of a dim, dark mechanic shop. And that is not what is going on at all. In fact, we're seeing that automotive technician pathway kind of diverging. And yes, we're going to have traditional mechanics doing traditional types of mechanic jobs because a lot of those cars are going to remain on the road for a long time. But more and more cars are becoming more advanced. And as a result, the jobs are changing. So now we have job descriptions like automotive diagnostician, electrical vehicle technicians, electrical engineers. Those are some of the new opportunities and new jobs that are coming your way if you're interested at all in the automotive pathway. So in terms of automotive itself, as you can see, this young lady is also working on a Tesla with a laptop. And that is basically what we're seeing more and more of for our students. They have to have those skill sets to work on those cars. And you're probably wondering, okay, so if you're working in a more advanced automotive pathway, what do those jobs pay? And so I posted, just for fun, a list of those different job titles and some of the wages. And for example, the first one, electric vehicle technician, the starting salary is around $31,000. At Tesla, it could be at $50,000. And the medium scale is between $58,000 to $75,000. You can go on down through the various lists of different jobs there. And at Tesla, in addition to learning all the technologies associated with an advanced electrical car, there are also different types of skills that you'll be learning along the way because, again, you're working with a team and you're going to be asked to have different kinds of skill sets. For example, basic programming. In the past, we never had to require basic programming or even think about having basic programming as a skill set for our students going into the automotive world. But now it's something that is really highly recommended that our students have some background in and comfort level with going forward. And then in terms of how you actually think, how you actually look at solving problems and being able to work with a team, making decisions, showing clear logical judgment, these are all part of that team dynamic that some of the advanced electrical jobs really require. And in advanced electrical, I just wanted to also talk about another program that we have with the California Energy Commission because it affects both high schools and colleges. because of all of the regulations, environmental impact regulations that are coming on board, more and more cars will become electrical, of course. And the California Energy Commission has provided some grant money so that the colleges in the Bay Area could equip their auto shops with some of these advanced cars, put the faculty through training, develop curriculum, and have the proper tools and equipment for our students when they come and take those courses. And the California Energy Commission is also providing additional funding for high schools in the community colleges districts to help them start an electric vehicle program at their colleges, at their high schools, so that they can align with the colleges going forward. And that's been really exciting. There was a program at Independence High School, and some of you may be familiar with it in San Jose, and they had one of these electric projects for the CEC, and they built this great little electric dune buggy, and it was a joint project between the engineering students and the auto students at the high school. And it was a fantastic, fun project. They had a lot of fun doing it and then driving it around on campus. And what they really liked is the fact that they got to work together on such an advanced project, because the engineering students could share all their conceptual knowledge and the auto students could actually do the hands-on work and vice versa. It was a great project and something that I hope that we'll be able to do more of going forward. Now, in terms of what we're actually working on now that might be exciting for you is advanced driver assistance systems. And here again is another Tesla. And in these cars, there are a lot of technologies that actually have been in the cars for some time. These are not autonomous, these are semi-autonomous systems and technologies that introduce everyone to the various technologies that are the foundation pieces for autonomous cars. And what's really fun is that you get to actually see how the cameras and sensors work. And you understand all the computerized systems in the cars actually talking to each other and working together in the car. The car has now become the most sophisticated computer platform of just about any type of vehicle, with the exception of maybe an airplane, that is currently on the roads today and in our worlds today. There's a very complex, sophisticated machine that you see driving on the road or that you might be driving as well. So what we did this past summer is we invited all of our college faculty and high school faculty in the area to participate in a Zoom-based webinar every Friday afternoon. That's how we spend our summer Fridays, learning all these new technologies. And it was really fun. The faculty really got off on it and really enjoyed the afternoon. And if you are curious and actually want to see the technology webinars yourself, you can access them on our website, and I'll show that to you at the end. But all of these particular systems are in the more advanced cars today. And these are skills that we are going to be introducing to our students at the colleges going forward. The other part of electric that might be of interest to you is our heavy duty diesel programs are all going electric. Again, this is being driven by all of the environmental regulations. And Mission College, which is close to you guys, has an apprenticeship program with the Santa Clara VTA. So that transit authority actually has the classes on site at their facility. So the students from the college are actually there at the VTA and are involved in learning about mechanics, both basic and more advanced mechanics and electric vehicle skills. They're also training bus drivers there, overline electric repair, and other things that might be of interest to you in case you're looking at working for a fleet. And I'll talk about the different work environments in a moment, but that's a very interesting program right close to you. We also have 3 heavy-duty diesel colleges in the area that are gearing up for electric vehicle training. Right now, the faculty themselves are going through the training, because after all, you can't teach something that you don't know anything about. So they're going through the training right now, and we're developing curriculum. And then that's going to be shared throughout the region, because we're going to be developing a training collaborative with Clean Cities and some of the electric bus manufacturers to basically train not just the operatives at the fleets, but also at the high schools and schools themselves. So the fleet technicians at the schools will also be part of this training. And then we'll roll that out to our students and then offer some incumbent worker training to the fleets going forward. So that's going to be a great breakthrough for the Bay Area colleges. So in terms of a work environment, so work environments for automotive vary. You can work in a dealership. That may have several different cars, and you can choose the different brand and model you want to work on. Some of the OEMs have their own shops, like BMW, Tesla, working directly for them. Then we have the independent garages, municipal fleets, and of course, the transit agencies. And the type of environment that you're working in will really vary, and you can choose. Or as you manage your career, you can change from one to the other, because the transits and municipal fleets might be a little more slower paced, and people feel that it's an environment that offers more job security, especially during recessions and more volatile economic times. The dealerships can be more fast-paced. You really have to work against the clock, but they offer continuous training, which is very, very helpful, especially today with technology accelerating so fast. They offer that training to their mechanics, so it's a lifelong continuous education process for them. And I wanted to share two stories. The two young people here in these photographs are former students at Los Medanos College, and they're two of my favorite students. So Jeff on the left, when I talked to him, was about 33 years old. He is now a master technician for Lexus in Concord. But Jeff is the first one to tell you that back in high school, he wasn't one of those guys who was really loving high school. He really was quite apathetic, didn't really care about school at all. But he finished high school, but after he finished high school, he didn't know what to do. He really had no clue about what he wanted to do. So he got a job at a restaurant, just started working in restaurants, and before he knew it, he had spent 10 years working in restaurant jobs. And he was fed up with it, but he really didn't know what he wanted to do next. So he spent some time thinking about it, and finally one day, he was actually, serving at the restaurant, carrying a tray of drinks, when all of a sudden it hit him. I really like cars. I really like cars. And he almost did drop the tray of drinks. And when he finished his shift, he rushed home, went onto the computer, and he found that Los Medanos, which was near him, had a great automotive program. So he called the head of the program, Earl Ortiz, asked to come in and talk to Earl. And after just talking with Earl for half an hour or so, he realized, wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And he signed up for the automotive class, the introductory class, and he spent the next 2 years working and going to school full time, acing all the classes. He's actually loved the classes so much he took a couple of them twice. And when he graduated, Lexus in Concord had a job opening, and Earl thought of Jeff immediately as his #1 student. And he went to work for Scott Huff over at Lexus of Concord, and he's been there ever since. And he was just blown away that Earl thought so highly of himself, because he didn't actually, and trusted him so much. And he's gone on to become a master technician over at Concord of Lexus. The gal on the right is Marlena. And Marlena Rodriguez, smart young lady. She's a first generation Hispanic. Her dad and she used to work on cars in the garage when she was growing up. And she really loved working on cars, but her dad did not want her to work on cars. He had changed careers himself, was working as a baker in a restaurant. And his daughter of his 3 children was the smart one, and he wanted her to become a doctor. He did not want her to work on cars or stay in the restaurant business. But she really liked cars and didn't want to become a doctor. And so she snuck over to Los Medanos College, talked to Earl Ortiz again, and Earl said, well, why don't you try a class and see if you like it? I mean, maybe you won't like it. Just explore, see if you like it. She signed up, she took the introduction to automotive class. She loved it, but was really at first insecure because she didn't know anything about cars and mechanics, and she was afraid that she wasn't going to do so well. But then she realized all the students were like her. They didn't know either. They were just learning as she was learning. So she slowly gained her confidence, got an A in the class, and just loved it and finished up. And when she thought about what she wanted to do, she decided she always liked Audis. So she presented herself to the service manager at Audi in Concord, Alto Reckenbauer, who I happen to know. And she presented herself and told him she wanted to work there. And Alto was quite surprised because, one, they didn't have a job opening, but two, they never had a female working in the auto shop before. But he was so impressed with her. She was so assertive and so clear that after she left, he called Earl Ortiz over at Las Madonnas to find out more about her. And basically, when he got Earl's recommendation, thought, well, let me think about this. So eventually he hired Marlena. Unfortunately, her dad was not happy, and he wound up disowning her, unfortunately. But she became one of Alto's star mechanics, and she is still working for Audi to this day, 5 years later. And she's gotten her career on track, and she's still trying to get her dad to support her and acknowledge that what she's doing is okay to do. So these are some of the aviation stories. Yes.
Oh, we have a question about what does OEM stand for?
Oh, original equipment manufacturer. That would be like a Tesla, a BMW, a Mercedes. They are the original manufacturers of that car. Good question. Good question.
Thank you. And audience, just if you want to, you can either go to the Q&A to ask a question, or you can write it in the chat, and I will be monitoring that. So feel free to chime in any questions you may have.
So let's talk about aviation. So aviation, we're talking big planes, we're talking fighter jets. There's a whole romance about planes. People who want to work on planes fall in love with aviation, whether it's the love of flying, they saw some movie like Top Gun, they love space exploration, or maybe they flew a drone with their dad when they were 10 years old or something. But there's something about flying that absolutely fascinates them. And in the aviation area, in the Bay Area, we have several job opportunities and several pathways to get there in terms of our community colleges. But here are some of the job titles. Aircraft and avionics technicians. Those are the FAA certified aviation mechanics and maintenance technicians that work at the big airports or regional airports, who work on the big planes, either for like a United or Southwest or one of your regionals. Many of those folks often go into the military, and you can see a Blue Angel sitting right there. And in fact, that's a great story too, because last year during Fleet Week, both the Air Force and the Navy invited the College of Alameda's aviation program to come visit while the Blue Angels were gearing up for Fleet Week. So we all got to go out to Sinclair Field, and the Air Force introduced their latest fighter jet, which was a phenomenal aircraft. And then we got to see the 12 Blue Angels sitting on the tarmac. With the cockpit up like that, you're not allowed to go near the plane because of security reasons, because of all the high-tech, top secret, confidential technologies that are on the plane. But we got to talk to some of the pilots and some of the aviators and aviation technicians working on it. And I have to tell you, everybody was so jazzed. I was jazzed. I was so excited. It was thrilling to be there next to those planes and to talk to the pilots and to the young crew about what they're doing, because they were so excited about what they were doing. It was so great to see so many people who love what they do and have found what they want to do with their life. It was really quite exciting to talk to these young people. And I hope all of you have that chance to find what you love to do as well, and have that feeling that you have found what you're going to do with your life. Some of the other pathways, in addition to the big planes, are the drones. And the drones, in fact, speaking of drones, I have one right here. So this is a little Mavic Pro drone, and this is primarily for data capture and information gathering. And we have 7 programs in the Bay Area that are teaching various courses in drones, everything from pilots and drone operators to cinematographers and photographers, GPS mapping technicians. Data, again, is a big part of the skill set needed for drones because that's what they're basically gathering most of the time is data and information. And it's really important to be able to understand the software and to be able to decode everything. In terms of your work environments, it's a little different from automotive because this is where you'll be working either indoors in a hangar or outside on a tarmac in the planes. And once, if you're looking at the big planes, once you get that FAA certification and you get your AA degree, that is your ticket to go anywhere you want to work. If you want to work domestically, internationally, if you want to work at a large airport, small regional, this is your ticket to work anywhere you want in the world because these skills are in high demand and it's something that you can basically leverage throughout your entire life. Now, going back to the drones, I was talking about some of the different skill sets. And with drones, there's a lot of new uses being developed for drones. And it's really hard to keep pace with them because they're changing just about every day. Oops. Go back a second. So in terms of usage for drones, these are the top 10 industries in the country using drones. So aerial photography and video has long been the #1 usage of the drones. And that would also include surveying and mapping. And that's often used by a variety of companies, whether it's in construction, first responders. You might have seen some of the drones recently with the firefighters when they're actually trying to get a better understanding of some of the wildfires that we've been experiencing. They'll send up the drones to actually scope out the entire area, gather information, and they use that information to actually strategize their approach to fighting the fire. Agriculture and farming, again, this is one of the main usages for drones the last 10 years because they're actually helping the farmers understand how the crop is doing. They basically have an autonomous flight pattern that they key into the drone and it will fly across their crop the same GPS points every day to gather information about the level of water, if parts of the crop are being affected by any kind of bug or pest, or if there's some kind of fertilizer or ingredient that's missing, they can tell by using different filters and different cameras to pick up on the health of their crop. Real estate, they use them all the time to help sell a piece of property. The wine country uses them to bring in visitors and use it as part of a marketing video. And utilities, PG&E uses a lot of drones to help them improve the maintenance and diagnostics of their infrastructure across the state. And of course, education and training. This is an area that I am very familiar with since we use drones all the time in some of our classwork because drones are such a small device in many ways and inexpensive, but it teaches incredible technologies to our students. It really introduces them to the world of artificial intelligence, robotics, sensors, and you could use those same skill sets in the world of autonomous vehicles. So this is a great way to introduce students and it's fun. You're learning a whole lot without even realizing you're learning because you're having so much fun flying the drone and then figuring out what the drone can actually do for you. And the picture that I have there on the left is a very recent drone picture of the drone actually spraying the stadium in Atlanta with disinfected during the time of COVID. So that was actually about 2 weeks ago that they did that. And you might have seen it on the news because they were also experimenting with it at Levi Stadium for the 49er game. The last thing I want to talk about in terms of jobs and careers in my area, may not be as much fun as drones, I have to admit, but it's supply chain and logistics. And that's an important part of the relief effort for COVID right now, in that all of the major logistics companies like the FedExes, the UPSs, the Amazons have been relied upon tremendously during the COVID crisis to make sure that goods and services were being processed appropriately and quickly so that all of the homebound customers are being served and that there wasn't the shortages that we experienced at the beginning of COVID, like in toilet paper. So it's an important part of how industries actually survive and work. And in the Bay Area, there are lots of jobs in both supply chain and logistics. Everything from entry-level jobs in forklift operations and warehousing management to some of the higher end jobs that require four-year degrees in business management. It's a very important part, and 3 of our colleges have programs in supply chain and logistics. And COVID has actually been a catalyst for all 3 of them to redesign their programs to help students get into those jobs faster. Many folks were laid off, as you know, so this is an area where there are jobs available, especially in the warehouses. And we're working with some of the local companies to help speed up that process for both them and for our students who are in need of jobs. And I've listed there some of the job titles and some of the hourly wages. And again, because of COVID, we're seeing that those salaries are being pushed upward because there's just such a high demand for these individuals. So in terms of demand, you might be wondering, or maybe not, how many, what the supply demand looks like for the Bay Area. And these are pre-COVID numbers. And they're pre-COVID because it's very difficult to track right now how many jobs are available. And right now it's a little bit of a volatile time. But looking back, not that many months ago, there were a lot of openings in all the categories of positions that I've been speaking about today. Going forward, because of COVID's impact, aviation is going to be a tough pathway for a while because, as you know, a lot of people are not flying right now. And when people aren't flying, planes don't fly and they don't need to be serviced. And many of the airlines are going to be perhaps slowing down their hiring going forward. But we're in the process of brainstorming with some of the longtime partners of the college, people like United Airlines, Southwest, American, et cetera, to see how our students can find work and still remain in that pathway. And some of those jobs might be in the regional airlines. Horizon Air, which is a partner for United, just hired 3 of our students. So it's not as dim a picture as some have said, and we're working hard to make sure our students get jobs, because aviation in particular, those are such skills that are in demand. Even if you can't find a job right away in aviation, you will find a job because your skills are going to be in demand. Automotive, sorry?
We had a question from one of our audience members of which community colleges in San Jose offer programs for drone careers, and then maybe if there's what they are. Is it certification? Is it two-year transfer?
So good segue.
Oh,
good segue. So going back to those programs, in terms of, I'll touch on automotive real quick. So Evergreen and De Anza are the 2 colleges with automotive programs in the San Jose and Cupertino areas. And this is a summary of the various degrees and certificates that they offer. And the Tesla program is at Evergreen. Many of those OEMs, like Tesla, Honda, have those partnering agreements and relationships with certain colleges. So in terms of drones, Gavilan College, which is there in Gilroy, has a drone program, and they also have an aviation program. So they have both drones and aviation programs at Gavilan. This picture, by the way, is from the Blue Angel Day at Sinclair Field on the left there. But in terms of Gavilan, it's a 2-year degree program for the Aviation Maintenance Technology program. And the certificates are those 5 that are listed there. And then in terms of drones, thank you for that segue, by the way. We have 7 Bay Area colleges that offer drone classes, and down south, it's going to be Gavilan and Mission and West Valley. And I looked at West Valley in particular because some of the problems Mission College has is it's too close to the airport, so they can't actually fly drones on campus. So West Valley actually has quite a diverse set of certificates for the drones. So you can basically take classes in those particular areas. In terms of their transfer right now, drones are not easily articulated. Those programs and classes don't really articulate well to a four-year college at this point in time. We have the same problem with automotive because these are very technical and they don't necessarily transfer like into mechanical engineering at San Jose State very easily. However, with these certificates, you have no problem finishing up your degree and then going to the four-year degree program afterwards if you choose to. And these certificates also allow you to freelance if you want to work or work for a program like Tesla has its own department in drones. Drones have become, to back up a bit, drones have only really been in industry usage for the last 5 years. That's not a long time. So a lot of the companies up to now have basically hired contractors. They have basically asked people to actually do the drone work kind of on an experimental basis to see whether or not this particular program would be of use to them long term. And some of them have found that the drone programs have brought enough value back to the company that they have invested and developed their own drone departments internally. Tesla's an example of this. Your first responders, the police and fire. This was an experiment, 3-4 years ago. It's no longer an experiment. The majority of fire departments and police departments have their own drone operators as part of their team permanently. So this is becoming more and more part of the operations of these different companies, which is why our classes are filling up, and we're developing 3 more programs in the Bay Area. And this is a picture of one of my favorite drones. I actually sat in that. That's a personal quadcopter that DJI had. They're actually flying it in China. It is not being flown here. It has not been approved by the FAA, but it's still a pretty cool concept. Did that answer the question?
Yes, I believe so. They can keep referring to the chat, but we have a couple more questions that came up. So I'm sure as you're going along, there will be more and more questions. One question came from one of our audience members, and I think this goes to Alex, and will there be copies of this presentation available for participants? Would it be like on the SVEF site? And this is a question I think more for Alex.
Yeah, I'll be sure after this presentation to see, Pam, if you wouldn't mind giving me a copy, and then we can figure out a way to distribute that to everyone after the presentation, probably based off the RSVPs. So as long as y'all RSVP'd and you were an attendee here, we can see if we can get this presentation to you, hopefully.
Great. The last thing I wanted to touch upon is soft skills. And many of our programs offer soft skills as part of their overall program. Automotive does in particular, because many of our employers have told us time and time again, your students get hired for their technical skills, but they get into trouble because they don't have the soft skills. And it's really hard to define soft skills, so I tried to put together a short list here. In terms of soft skills, it's everything from your interpersonal skills and communication skills to your digital literacy, to your customer service ability and your active listening skills. Can you actually listen to what a customer is saying about the problems they're having with, the car or customer service or whatever it might be? And can you then use some critical thinking to understand what the actual problem is, and then use decision-making skills and communication skills to then transfer your thoughts accurately to your team to actually solve the problem. So these skill sets, and maybe some of your high schools are teaching some of these skills in a soft skills class. If they do, I really, really recommend you take one of those classes. I also recommend to get a summer job because actually working is going to be the best way for you to understand how everything actually works and how people work together. And you learn so much about yourself in the process as well, in terms of what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, and what you need to work on a little bit more. So I really suggest that as a closing thought in terms of our programs. It's not transportation, but it's life.
Great.
Last,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If you wanted to check out Some of the advanced transportation technologies, we have several webinars on our website. And the summer's advanced transportation courses in ADAS systems, the advanced driver assistance systems, are all on the website. Kurt Shadbolt, from Chabot College is the trainer. And Kurt is a great webinar presenter, and I'm learning from him in terms of how to create a more engaging webinar. So if you want to look at those, if you're curious about any of those new systems, it's not meant as a deep dive. It's just a general introduction to these technologies. So you won't get lost or be overwhelmed. It's actually kind of fun to learn about some of these systems that are in the cars today. And we also have other webinars on autonomous vehicles and things that might be of interest to you. But if you have any questions or want to talk about any of the programs, don't hesitate, to send me an email or give me a call. So thanks for your time. And if there are any other questions.
So we had a question, which colleges offer supply chain and logistics training?
Good question. There are three. That's Skyline College in San Bruno. That's Contra Costa College, which is up in the San Pablo area, and College at Alameda, which is in Alameda. So those are the three that offer the logistics classes. However, in addition to that, we have, as part of our business programs, a number of courses that could lead to a logistics degree, because many of the courses also transfer to a four-year degree program in business because they're general business type of classes like accounting and such. So they overlap quite effectively with logistics and supply chain, as well as all the data analysis, database classes. Those are also part of that program.
There was another question from one of our attendees. Are there internships offered with partnered companies for students? And will both high school and community college students?
Yes and no. Internships are not allowed in aviation. The FAA has a very tight policy when it comes to internships. So they are not allowed for either high school or college students in aviation. However, in automotive, we have a lot of internships and some apprenticeship opportunities in the union shops. Now, that is for college students primarily. The reason that it is less likely that you'll find an internship for a high school student is a liability issue. Most of the automotive partners that we have insurance issues with anyone under the age of 18 working on site. And it's primarily because it's perceived to be a potentially dangerous environment with the lifts and the cars and such on site. So it's to protect the younger person as well as to protect the agency itself, that they don't allow internships for high school students. But we're trying to open that door, and we had one BMW shop up in Concord who actually did have a high school program, but that was quite limited, and unfortunately the service manager retired and that program ended. But it's something we struggle with. At the college level, however, there are internships available, and Tesla for years had internship until they started the Tesla Academy at Evergreen, and now it's a little different situation for them with the Tesla Academy on site. But most of our other big OEMs, the BMWs, the Mercedes-Benzes, the Fords, the Hondas, the Toyotas, offer internships as well. And it varies from college to college. Right now with COVID, I'm sorry to say that the resources at many of our employer partners have been constrained because of COVID's impact on their own profitability. Most of our automotive companies, especially in the periods March through May, were forced to lay off a lot of people, and only the essential workers, and essential workers were all of the service technicians. They were allowed to stay, and the tool room people were allowed to stay. Everybody else was laid off. But now that people are driving, and once you have people driving, you have cars that need servicing. So that's the good news. The more people drive, the more that industry is going to come back. And also, a lot of people don't want to take BART. They don't want to be on public transit. So they're buying cars. And so it surprised everybody, but July was a great sales month for the automotive industry, both new and used cars. So there's more hope for the automotive sector to come back from this economic downturn when compared to aviation, but it's still going to be a little bumpy, and I can't promise internships across the board like we're used to. But the internship programs we have had, like with the Del Grande group, you might have heard of them in your neck of the woods. But the Del Grande group has 15 stores and had internship programs with us at 4 of the colleges. De Anza, Evergreen, of course, that was their backyard. Up at Solana, they had a store, and at Chabot in Hayward. And they had a terrific internship program. I know because I worked with them to structure it. And the students who went through the internship program, the majority of them got through the program with flying colors and were all given job offers. And they could choose where they wanted to go in terms of the actual store and the cars they wanted to work on. So those programs are going to come back. But for right now, a lot of them have been put on hold. I'm sorry.
And for the high schools, I know that the county office is looking into working with some of our partnering districts on virtual internships to see if there's an interest out there that would be a project-based internship. Not sure what exactly the industry sectors that are interested in that, but we are looking for students to get some work-based learning and internship experience while they're still in high school. So that's something. Hey, Pam, could you drop your email address in the chat box? I know some people were asking.
Oh, good idea.
That would be great. And while you're doing that, there are a couple of other questions. There was a question about if students were interested in being a pilot. And I know that's different than what we were talking about, but are there any community colleges that might point that direction?
Unfortunately, not in the Bay Area. In Sacramento, yes. Southern California, yes. The reason is the flight simulator is really expensive, like it's over $1 million. Unfortunately, aviation is a very expensive program to run, and automotive is second, by the way. But it's something that I know Solano College would like to do, but we do not currently have a piloting program in the Bay Area. I wish we did.
And another question that came from one of our participants, for Evergreen Tesla graduates, what are the starting salaries, and is it difficult to find jobs afterwards?
Tesla has a very rigorous program. I don't want to scare anybody, but one of our faculty, Mike Hernandez, who's an electrical engineer himself, almost flunked it. But he realized that his problem was he didn't have a database background. Tesla, if you pass the program, and they have usually about a cohort of 25 at each class, if you pass the program, you have a job with Tesla. And they basically start you at about $25 an hour, which is about $51,000 a year. And Tesla has quite a program. If you want to work with them, you can work with them in different locations, and the job career pathway is quite broad. If you want to go back to school, if you want to become a mechanical engineer, if you want to work at the factory, there are lots of opportunities with Tesla. They're one of my favorite partners that way. So the opportunities are there. You have to get accepted into the program, and you have to pass. And for them, you have to pass at the 90% level. That's their passing mark. And you can't miss any classes. They are really tough. But as a result, they have some top-notch candidates, and all those guys have gone on to some great jobs. And once you work with Tesla, you can go anywhere else. I'll tell a quick story. One of our graduates from Monterey Peninsula College, Boris, and he's an exceptional young man. This is not all of our students, but Boris, super smart guy, graduated top of the class at the college overall, not just automotive. And I brought Tesla to Monterey Peninsula College because that was about 5-6 years ago, and he got a job with Tesla. And I mean, he just knocked the ball out of the park. They loved him. After 3 years, he got a job offer, and he was really torn because he really had a great career going at Tesla. But he got a job with one of the top sports car companies in the world, and he's working for them now on their battery technology for racing cars, making over 200,000 a year. So he's one of my great success stories. He's not the average person.
But that's a good problem to have.
I know. Boris is just tremendously talented, hardworking young guy. So
The question for Alex, is the survey link active that you put in the chat box? It may be inactive, we're not sure.
Yeah, I saw that feedback from one person. I tried it myself and it seemed to work. I'll paste it here alone, but that link should work. I pasted it right into my browser, or if you click it directly, that as well, but it did seem to work for me.
Great, thank you. We have time for more questions. If there's any more questions for Pamela, we have about 9 more minutes. I had a couple questions if somebody didn't, but I would like to let panel or the attendees ask any of the questions they may have about.
the sports car
Oh, there was
company
a question about.
is McLaren.
Go ahead.
Boris is working for McLaren, in case you're wondering.
Great. And for students that are like interested in, they don't know exactly what they're interested in, but we know that community colleges have just so many different types of career opportunities. Is there a place that students or teachers can go to that can easily look at all the different things that the community colleges near them offer? What would be your suggestion?
Well, the best thing is to look at the website of your local college. So looking at Evergreen or De Anza or West Valley or Mission, and check out what they have to offer in your areas of interest. If you don't know what you're interested in, which is often a challenge, I would suggest just taking some classes that you're curious about and just sign up for an introductory class in automotive or whatever, and just try it out to see if you like it. And if your brain likes it, if your brain lights up, that's a major indicator that, wow, you might like this. I myself, this is my 4th career. So I started out in banking on Wall Street and found that after 6 years, it wasn't something I really wanted to do lifelong. I had to think about what did I really, really like? And that's a lifelong challenge I think each of us has, is to find out what we really like and what our brain and our natural skill sets really are the most focused on and comfortable with. But you have to explore. Sometimes you just have to try it out. So seriously, try a class in whatever you're interested in, whether it's, computers or advanced manufacturing or automotive or whatever it is. Try it out and see if you like it. But go to the websites of those colleges.
And your high school should, your counselors should be able to also help guide you or find the information for you if you're interested in a particular pathway or particular career. We had one of our attendees was asking about where would you go as a 9th grader if you were interested in maybe being a pilot? Where could you get information about that program? So I know.
Wow. Okay, so the other thing that we do is outreach activities for aviation. So send me your information, and I'm actually working on doing some remote outreach activities that show you about the different programs and let you talk to some of the faculty. So we're actually trying to set that up right now, because the normal in-person activities that we have are, and in aviation we have a lot of them. But if you're interested in being a pilot, check out the drone programs. 9th grade is not too soon. Your high school might have a drone program in there. I know they were doing it in robotics at a couple of the high schools that I talked to in Pittsburgh. Joelle, are there any high schools that are doing any, drone programs that you know about?
I know there are some high schools that have, they do have clubs like robotics or a course that may have some drone curriculum in it. I know that there's some other regional directors that have been doing some drone. There was a summer, and I'm trying to remember who the regional director was. It's at the tip of my tongue, where there were some summer camp programs, drone, that I think they did virtually this year. Because of course, with the pandemic, it's hard, it's difficult. If you are a high school student and your counselor approves it, you can take concurrent courses. And so there is that introductory courses that you can take if your counselor approves the concurrent enrollment to check it out. Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, I would say that contact your local community college, or if Pam is, you know, open to having, you know, to getting some questions answered specifically, maybe pointing them to the right direction, especially for this pilot program that's over in Sacramento, that maybe that's an opportunity for students also. But it's never too late to start looking at what your interests are, no matter what grade that you're in currently. Do we have any other questions from our attendees about, and thank you, Pam, because you've done just an awesome job, and we can see the passion that you have for your industry sector. And I know Pam's there's going to be more opportunities as we do more further outreach with our school districts on offering these informational outreach type webinars to get students interested and curious about all that the community colleges have to offer.
As questions are put in the chat, I just want to put up the last poll before people begin to leave. Please be sure to answer it if you can. Your feedback is really appreciated. There we go. And thank you, Pam. Seriously, this has been extremely informative. And thank you, Joelle, as well, for monitoring the chat and the Q&A.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. This is exciting, and we have 3 more of these regional director webinars happening this week. So please go back to the SVEF website and check out all the different webinars that are going on for College Week this week.